Hello, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions, and I have a great topic for you today. I'm going to be talking about the difference between being a permanent resident and a citizen. Sometimes in questions that I get, I see where there's a little bit of confusion about the two. So, for example, someone who is outside of the country who is not a citizen will say, how can I get citizenship? And usually in the case where you're outside of the United States or you're in the United States, but you are not a citizen, you will have to become a permanent resident first before you become a citizen. Permanent residents are given the permission on a permanent basis, unless it's revoked, to be able to reside in the United States. But it does come with some restrictions. And those restrictions would be you can't vote, you can't register to vote in state, local, or federal elections. So for example, if you're going for a state representative or a senator, a representative, the president, these are not individuals that you can vote for. You cannot vote in the election. You shouldn't be registering to vote. And if you have done that, you have to quickly go ahead and make a correction, because that can lead to very severe immigration consequences. But that's for another live. Now, with permanent residents, another limitation is that you can't travel outside. You can travel, but when you leave the United States, you cannot be living outside of the United States with permanent residence. If you stay outside of the United States for more than 6 months in a year, that can lead to a lot of problems if you're coming back. And then if you get to over a year, outside of the United States, it means that there is the assumption that you have abandoned your permanent residence and you'll lose it. So permanent residence does not mean that you get to go anywhere in the world and then return, spend any amount of time and then return to the United States as a permanent resident. It's kind of like, use it or lose it, meaning if you're not going to live in the United States, then you lose your permanent residence. So you have to be careful. If your goal is to get to US citizenship, you have to be very careful about your traveling outside of the United States, and just make sure that you don't travel for more than 6 months in a year. Another thing is US citizens cannot be deported, but permanent residents can. So you can, you're vulnerable. Now, I'm sure nobody becomes a permanent resident with the intention that they're going to do something or commit a violation that's going to lead to their deportation. Of course, that's never the plan, right? But sometimes things do happen and you can get caught up in a situation where you end up deportable. And if you are still a permanent resident at the time that maybe a violation happened, maybe an arrest happened, or some other issue arises that renders you deportable, then at that point you are vulnerable to deportation. You can get your permanent residence revoked when you go through deportation proceedings and you go before an immigration judge. So to avoid all of these limitations, you know what you can do? You can apply for US citizenship. And to qualify for US citizenship, you still do have to be a permanent resident. Now, when you're applying, there's a difference between deriving US citizenship from a parent, and then there is where you become a permanent resident and then you want to now apply for citizenship. In the case where you want to apply for citizenship, you're going to have to make sure that you've had your permanent residence for a certain period of time. So for example, if you're in the military, it's a year. If you, during the peacetime, If it's outside of so say it's through a family member, like a parent or an employer that you got it through, it's 5 years. And if you are married to a US citizen, you've been married to them for 3 years, then you can apply for citizenship after having your permanent resident for 3 years. So another thing is if you're going to apply, you have to be 18 or over. You have to show good moral character, continuous presence in the continuous residence in the United States, and physical presence in the United States for the past 5 years. In most cases, 5 years. Continuous. Now, remember I said previously that if you spend extended periods of time over 6 months in a year outside of the United States, it can create problems for your citizenship. So that's where it's important to pay attention to your travel. Make sure you're not traveling outside of the United States for excessive. You can travel, just not for excessive periods of time. Because that can lead to you getting denied citizenship, and that because then you couldn't show continuous residence in the United States. And the physical presence, you do have to show that you're physically present in the United States for at least half of the past 5 years in most cases. Now, good moral character is a complex topic, and most of us can say that we do have good moral character, right, without thinking twice about it. However, the way that they look at good moral character, they hold you to, usually good moral character, they're going to look at the average person in your community and determine whether you can match that, that good moral character of the average person in your community. What does that mean exactly? That is a more complex topic. However, what I will say is things that can affect your good moral character will be arrest. So if you've had an arrest, you've had a conviction, if you're in the middle of serving a sentence, then in those cases, stop, pick up the phone, or go to the link in the profile and schedule a consultation, and we can talk more about that, whether it's okay, you should wait to apply, whether you can move forward with legal arguments to state why you still qualify, or whether you will be barred permanently, because yes, in some cases you may be barred permanently in the case of certain criminal conduct, certain convictions. Now, other things that don't necessarily have to do with crime that can affect your citizenship are if you have delinquent child support or delinquent taxes. Those are, and here's a surprising one, where you cheated in your marriage, you cheated on your spouse, and that cheating led to the termination of your marriage or the ending of your marriage or your separation. If that's the case, that can also lead to a denial of your citizenship application, and you want to be very careful about that. The way that they can identify infidelity is maybe if a child is born in the middle of the marriage, then they know, wait a minute, an outside child was born outside of the marriage, what happened there? Or if you are, if you're separated or you remarried, so say you separated and you remarried somebody very quickly after divorcing the previous spouse, they can look into whether that was as a result of infidelity. So you have to be very careful about surprising things like that. Now, if you would like to, now is a good time to apply for citizenship, right? So if you've been a permanent resident for 5 years, if you're married to a US citizen, 3 years, if you've received VAWA, meaning you applied for permanent residence on the basis of mistreatment by a US citizen or legal permanent resident spouse, parent, or citizen child, you could also apply in 3 years. If you're in the military, there is a shorter time requirement, which is a year. Normally, it could be less if there's conflict, but now I believe it is a peacetime, a peaceful time. So it would be a year to wait to get the citizenship through the military. If this is the case, go ahead, schedule your consultation. We go ahead, we confirm you qualify, and then we prepare your application very quickly and get it in. Right now, I'm seeing citizenship applications taking anywhere from 2 months to 6 months to get citizenship. So it is moving very quickly right now. That's not necessarily a guarantee, though, that is going to happen for you. I notice on average, my cases are going quickly, but that does not mean, that's not a guarantee of any future clients or that this will happen for you. It really depends on the place, what's going on in your particular case, the service center that's processing your case. Now, I want to note something. I am a U.S. immigration attorney. I practice in all 50 states in regards to immigration, U.S. immigration law only, because as a U.S. immigration attorney, we can represent clients in all the 50 states and around the globe before the USCIS immigration courts and embassies around the globe. So no matter where you are, I can help you with your immigration issue. Now I'm taking questions. So put your questions in the comments. I see a few on YouTube and I see some also on TikTok. So I'm gonna go ahead and scroll through. So let's see here, lipstick, please. Oh, thank you for that. No, it's Sephora. I got it at Sephora. Hi there. Can I file for my son if he doesn't have my last name? Absolutely, yes. There are other pieces of evidence to show that you are the biological father of your son. And so having the same last name isn't necessarily going to cause a denial. However, we would have to look at, are you on the birth certificate? If you're not, what other evidence do you have? Do you make child support payments? Is there a court order recognizing you as a father? Is there DNA testing? Do you have school records or other secondary types of evidence to prove that you are the father and that your son qualifies to be sponsored by you? All right, so let me go through. Can 20-year-old get citizenship from a U.S. citizen parent? No, you have to be under 18 to be able to get to derive citizenship from the parent automatically. Can you do my citizenship for me? Absolutely. Go ahead, call, schedule an appointment. We make sure we thoroughly review your background, make sure you qualify, and then we get started very quickly. So go ahead, schedule that consultation and we can talk and get started. Go to the link in the profile and you will see everything you need to schedule that appointment. I just gave birth and haven't received my baby's passport as yet, but my time is about to expire. What to do? So yes, you're between a rock and a hard place for sure. If you end up overstaying, it's going to be a problem for your visa. So you definitely don't want to be doing that. I cannot advise you specifically because I'm not your attorney, and that's where it's important to make sure you schedule an appointment so we can talk about what your situation is and come to a solution. If you're married to an American citizen for almost 5 years, will you get your green card faster? No, not necessarily. Husband didn't show up to the interview and they denied it. What is the next step? Next step is get representation. I need to find out what's going on. Why didn't your spouse show up to the interview? Is there more to this? Was he mistreating you? How was he mistreating you? You may be able to qualify on your own. And then we also have to look at the denial because the basis of the denial is going to also determine how complex your case is going to be. But Chris Amoy, I wouldn't give up just yet. Go ahead, schedule a consultation. Let us talk and see if there's a solution for you. There may very well be. If my brother did process for his wife and kids, but only the wife gets a visa, What did he have to do? So if your brother's a US citizen and he sponsored his wife, the children can't be included on her application. He has to file for them separately. I don't know. This is very vague information, and that's why it's very important to schedule a consultation, because I have to know what is your brother's status. Is he a US citizen? Is he a permanent resident? Where is the wife? Where are the kids, to determine what the best path forward would be. I went through some papers today with my, with my lawyer for work permit and green card, I think. Do you think my process is moving fast? You need to talk to your attorney about that. I wouldn't be able to tell you what's going on with that. So defer to your attorney. So what about the 221G form? So what about it? What is administrative processing 221? So administrative processing is where something has come up, maybe there's new information, and they are putting you through an extra rigorous process to determine whether you're going to qualify, or they're going to approve it or deny it. Whether I don't know what's going on in your case, that's where you need to make sure that you're represented or you get legal advice to understand what's going on. To do that, for example, in your case, to give specific legal advice, I have to do follow-up questions. Husband didn't show up to interview. What is the next step? Get legal advice. You can always call. There may be options for you, but we have to understand what your situation is. I'm not giving personalized legal advice here, and that's why I'm leaving it up to you to protect yourself and get legal advice to determine what steps to take that would be in your best interest. Do you think a company can petition an out-of-status client for a green card? I graduated. In some cases, that may be possible, right? If you can apply for a waiver, what's called an I-601, a waiver, if you qualify for that, if you have a US citizen or legal permanent resident spouse or parent, that may be possible. However, you wouldn't be able to stay for the entire process in the US. When it comes to the interview, you'd have to fly down to the interview after applying and getting approved for a waiver. So that in that case, a company may be able to sponsor you, even if you're out of status. No, you wouldn't be able to work for the company while you wait for the process to go through. Do they deny marriage for not living together? Yes, in some cases, that is a red flag. And if you don't really show evidence, first of all, give an explanation, a valid, acceptable explanation for why you're not living together. They will deny it. Because remember, they're looking at your marriage. They want to determine whether you are this is a real marriage. So if you're not living together, that's a red flag that you now have to diffuse. You have to convince them that you're living separately because of a good reason. Some couples, for example, may be pursuing different career goals right now, and the end game is that they will come together after they get to a certain point in their careers or their education. Haiti embassy said wait 180 days for administration and processing over 180 days. So yeah, get legal advice. Do they, so I answered that. How long does it take to be an asylee after filing for asylum? It could take a few years. Unfortunately, it is backed up right now. After 365 days of it pending, you could get your work permit, but to actually get the asylum, you're gonna have to wait a while. All right. You're welcome there. So you did the personal, and in some cases they will order a DNA testing with an independent lab. So if that's going to be an issue, they may just order that later on as well. How do we schedule a consultation? Go to the link in the profile on this TikTok, or you can go to the link in the description of the video on YouTube and you'll see the link. On the link, you'll see everything you need. You'll see the website, you'll see a button to schedule your own appointment. You don't even have to call for that. You'll see and you'll see other goodies too. You'll see the Instagram button, Facebook button. So go ahead, click on the link in the profile and you'll be able to schedule your appointment. I'm looking forward to speaking with you. Just read that something might be in the works for people who overstay their visitor's visa. Can you shed some light, please? So no, it wouldn't be that simple. So people that overstay their visas, there's nothing in the works right now for something like that. There have been a number of legislation that have been introduced, but right now with the political climate, it's really dead in the water. So any kind of, trust me, when something serious happens, you will hear me talking about it. If I feel like this is going to be promising or this something is major about it, I will definitely let you know. But right now, there's nothing in place for people who overstays their visitor's visa. All right, so that's gonna be it for me. I'm heading on over to Instagram though, so you will see me on Instagram in a minute. I'm the immigration attorney. You can go to the link in the profile, both on YouTube and here on TikTok, and you will see the Instagram button. You can go to Instagram there, join me there, and we can continue having this conversation. Thanks for all your love. Thanks for sharing, and thanks for your questions. Go ahead, like, subscribe, and share the video on YouTube, and look out for me tomorrow, and I will be able to help you and answer questions. Keep in mind, it's not personalized legal advice, it's general information. So the link doesn't work. You can call this number. I'm going to give you the number now, Chris Amoy, and anybody else who wants to go ahead and call it. It's 561-405-4889. That link should be working, but if not, I'll check on it. And for now, it's 561-405-4889. It's under the immigration attorney. You'll also see the phone number. If it's not on the home, it should be on the home page. But you can also go to Instagram and the link is there as well. So there are multiple ways that you can find that information, but right now there's the number. Go ahead and call. Scheduling coordinators are available to help you. All right, so I'll see you in a minute on Instagram, or I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.